Good evening. It's the sports page, and we haven't had one for a long while. I'm Jim Lederman, and we have special guests here tonight. They're the Winthrop football captains. To my left is Chris Castro, Fidel Small, and Mike McCone. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have two more days before you play your Thanksgiving game, and we'll kind of look back, and I'll tell you, Thanksgiving Day, you're going to remember the rest of your life, okay? Now, I played only 59 years ago, but we won, and any ex-Viking that has played will tell you, you'll remember this game the rest of your life, okay? And in my particular case, I was a fullback back in 1959. It's hard to believe, and I fumbled going into the end zone. And over the years, we used to play Danvers on Thanksgiving, and the field, you could see it from Route 128, and every time I'd go down Route 128, the following years, 20, 30, 40 years, and I'd remember the Thanksgiving Day game. So we've had some fantastic games over the years, and you guys represent, a football program that's used to winning, okay? And if you read my column in a couple of days, Winthrop High has defeated Revere 41 out of the last 45 years, 46 years. That's incredible, okay? So to say that I expect you guys to win, and I expect to pump you up so that you realize that there'll probably be 100, 200 ex-Winthrop football players in the stands, and a lot of them that come on Thanksgiving haven't had a chance to see you guys play, okay? And it's not like there's a lot of pressure, but you're carrying a tradition of a program that's one of the best in the North Shore, okay? So I expect you guys to not only win, but keep the tradition. So the rivalry with Revere basically started, this is the 87th game in the rivalry, and when you read my article in the transcript, you'll know that we have dominated it, but the last 2 years we've lost, so I don't want you guys to be remembered as the team that lost 3 games in a row to Revere. So to you guys, this is your senior year. You guys haven't beaten Revere, is that correct?
My freshman year.
Freshman year. So Mike, he played his freshman year, but you know the feeling, and that happened to be a phenomenal game. That was the game when they dedicated the stadium, 2015, okay? That was probably one of the greatest games. Well, Sean Driscoll is, not only a very good coach, but a very close friend of mine, and that was a typical Winthrop team that went into that stadium. They were a heavy underdog, and they beat Revere, okay? And I expect you guys to do the same thing, okay? So first we'll talk to you, Captain Castro, how the practice has been.
Well, this whole week has been really good. We've executed very well. The energy has been very high, and especially us three and the whole team, we feel really confident going into this game.
What do you think? What are the keys to victory?
Just execute, and we just have to do our job.
Okay, well, I've seen them play, and they got a great running attack. So if the defense plays well, and number 40 is a middle linebacker, and he makes 8 tackles, and the linebackers play well, I think we're going to win. What do you think, Fidel?
Yes, I agree with that.
Okay, and if you stop number 24, he's an exceptional football player. He's 80% of their offense, okay? And we have only lost over in Revere twice, 2 times in the last 40 years. That's hard to believe, okay? So not only have we dominated them, we've only lost twice in that stadium. So there's going to be a lot of players that are going to be ex-Winthrop players, and they'll say, I wasn't on a team that lost to Revere. So the game means a lot. You guys will remember it the rest of your life. You'll remember your Thanksgiving Day game. Michael, and how do you feel the team's playing?
I feel like we're playing great.
feels great. We have a lot of guys that just love the team and the people around them. A lot of
Say that
people
again,
are-
I'm sorry.
We got a lot of guys that love the team and the people around them, and they're just acting like this is their last game too.
Great.
Especially those seniors.
Yeah. So there's how many seniors?
About 10.
10.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, seniors are going to remember it the most, but you guys played it extremely well the last 3 or 4 weeks, okay? And you got the whole team back, and I think you guys are going to play well, okay? And it's going to depend on how well the defense plays, and of course, the weather conditions aren't going to be good, okay? So wear your long underwear.
Yeah.
Have a pair of gloves, and but when you're out in that field, you're representing the whole town of Winthrop, okay? And you know, I've expressed to you how the reputation and the winning tradition is just adds a lot to this game. So we've had some great games against Revere, and I expect you guys to be part on that particular team, Michael, that you were on. That was one of the best games I've ever seen a Winthrop team play because they were a heavy underdog. They came from behind. And has Coach Cadigan showed you that film?
We've watched
Yeah.
tons of films lately.
Okay, I'm sure. No, Coach Cadigan's a great defensive coach, and so they can be beat, and but it's going to depend on the defense and how well they play. But and of all the years that I've done Winthrop football, which is 48 years, this is the most talented sophomore class I've ever seen.
Of course, yeah.
Yes.
They're phenomenal, okay? And but you guys are the leaders, and it's your job to lead the team to victory. It means a lot. So let's kind of review the season and how far you guys have come, Chris Castro, and what's been the difference that you've won your last 3 games in a row?
Well, going back to the last regular season game, Lynn English, losing that game, dropping to 2-5, we realized that we had to do something.
Yeah.
The past couple of years haven't been so good, and when things aren't going good, like we start separating. People start going their separate ways. But after that game, it was different. We all stayed together. We all stayed together as a family, of
Great.
course, and we just pushed each other to become where we are now.
Great. Feel, what's been the keys to the last 3 victories?
Came to a lot of focus in practice, knowing all their formations, and bottom line, just discipline.
Great. Discipline's the most important thing. One play can turn around a game. Now, I've seen all the games, and I'll tell you where a game that was very costly to you, and that was the Saugus game when you let that kid go down the sidelines for 73 years. They ended up in the playoffs, and you guys were home. See how one play can turn around a game? Okay?
Yep.
One single play could turn around a game. But those conditions were maybe the worst I've ever seen, ever. That field was absolutely terrible. Now, your brother played, Michael, right?
Yeah. He graduated in 2013.
Great. He was a lineman, too.
Yeah.
Great. So let's talk about the line, how well the line's playing.
Well, it kind of hurts losing Ren and Pat. They're 2 really key guys that are really good. But the guys that stepped up,
No, I have to interrupt you. Who did you say?
Ren and Pat,
Ren is
guard
who?
and tackle. Ren
Okay.
is the guard. He's number 55, I believe.
Okay, is he out for the season?
He's out for the season.
Really? What happened to him?
Shoulder injury.
Wow. He's a junior, isn't he?
He's a junior right now.
Okay,
yeah.
and Pat is,
Pat's our right tackle. He's number 77.
so he's not playing either.
He's not playing.
Oh, so let's talk about the players that replaced those 2 guys.
We got Dylan Riley who stepped in at tackle, and Nick Shea who stepped in at center.
They're both
He's a
sophomores,
tackle.
aren't they?
They're both sophomores.
Unbelievable. And that, is it number 57, Hurley?
Yeah.
He's played very
playing
well.
good. He's been
Correct?
playing great.
Very well.
So the line's really improved.
Yeah.
What do you attribute that to?
Just the coaching. We spend a lot of time working on the plays, head
Yeah.
placement. It's all just being smart people, smart linemen.
Okay. And Fiedel, you've played phenomenal the last couple of weeks. The line's played well. You've gained a lot of yardage. What's the difference?
I give it all to my line.
Great. And now let's talk about the seniors also. Let's talk about which I feel is the strength of your team, one of the strengths, are your three linebackers, which are Brian Conceiço's a phenomenal ball
Yes, he
player
is.
for a sophomore. And I would say that Brian Chalmers, for someone who's played football for just 1 year, has done a phenomenal job. Chris is laughing.
I agree with that. I mean, just,
Yeah.
it's crazy to think that someone, not playing football for almost maybe 6 years just steps up and fills a role.
He's a great athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would, and I'm going to broadcast the game, so I'll be doing the game with my partner Al Petrilli, which you can watch after you win. But one of the keys that I'm going to say is to play the three linebackers. Okay, and Fiedel, you as a captain, okay, if the three linebackers play great, Fiedel, Conceiço, and Brian Chalmers, you're going to win the football game. Okay, because their strength is their running game. McNeil and is Barbosa, is he the other halfback?
Yeah.
Okay. You shut those two players down, you're going to win the football game. Okay. Do you guys agree?
100%.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
And then, of course, they have, they've been very fortunate to win 4 games by kicking a field goal. So the play of the linebackers and the play out of number 55, this is a game that you're going to remember the rest of your life, okay? And then you'll come back in years and you'll see some of the younger players playing. Thanksgiving is going to make your season. And in this particular case, you guys can have a winning season. And you were 2-5, so there's a lot. I mean, that adds a lot of impetus, which should carry you guys on. So the health is pretty well with everyone that's in the lineup. Is the Rockefeller was hurt? Is he playing?
He's
Yes.
playing this game, yeah.
Okay, so you got sophomores playing in very key positions, but you as seniors, the 10 seniors, have got to be the leaders, okay, and show why you guys got a good football team. So let's just get into the future for you guys and what the plans are. And Chris Castro, what do you expect to do next year?
That's still something I'm thinking about now. But, one of my goals, obviously, ever since I've been a kid, was to play college football.
Great.
And if things don't work out the way they're supposed to, it's also a dream of mine ever since I was a kid was to be a state trooper.
Great.
So that's something that I'm looking forward to.
That's a great plan for the future. Fiedel?
Same thing with him. My plan to go into college football.
Great. Have you applied to any school that you're really thinking about?
No, I'm still thinking about that.
Great.
Then, if that doesn't work out, then I'll want to go into the business field.
Great. Michael McCone?
I'm not sure where I'm thinking, but I feel like I want to stay close. Definitely 100% thinking about college. I really want to be close to home because that's where I grew up. I just like this town.
Great. And your brother, what school does he go to?
UMass Lowell.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we have here is 3 great leaders. They've all played varsity football for 3 years. But the greatest thing that you guys not only have you accomplished, but you've had the feeling of playing in this great new Miller Field. How does it feel after playing away for a couple of years? Well, in your particular case, Michael, a couple of years, right?
Yeah.
Terrible East Boston Stadium and all the games away. It wasn't pleasant.
Wasn't
okay?
nice at all.
And then you saw last year how there had to be 3,500 people there, but you saw the Winthrop Revere tradition and the crowds and how big and how much the game means. So we're going to wrap it up, and we're all looking forward to Thanksgiving. It's only 2 days away, and when you pick up the transcript tomorrow, you can read that the voice of the Vikings has predicted that you're going to win 23-19. You guys going to win?
100%.
Yes.
Is that a guarantee? Can I get that in writing?
Yes, sir.
Guaranteed.
Yeah.
Guaranteed. You heard it here.
100%.
And I want to thank the 3 Winthrop captains as we approach Thanksgiving. It's only 2 days away. Chris Castro, good luck.
you.
Fiedel Small, Mike McCone, you are the leaders, and we expect to win. So let the games begin. Good evening. Welcome to the Sports Page. It's a pre-Thanksgiving Day TV program, and I'm joined with Mark D'Ambrosio. You know, I've been doing Winthrop High School football for 48 years, and Mark happens to be one of my favorite players. Not only was he a great football player at Winthrop High School, but I followed his career. I went to see him play when he played for Colby, and Mark was in high school, one of the most favorite things that I remember about, not some of the great games that he played, and he played with an unbelievably great football team with just a crew of just very talented athletes, okay, but he was an outstanding student, okay, and when I tell people about Mark D'Ambrosio, I always tell them that not only was he a great football player, but he got one of the highest awards that you can get, and he was named the Boston Globe Student Athlete of the Year. And if you know anything about sports, and if you read the Boston Globe, that's a very high award. Captain Mark D'Ambrosio, welcome.
Thank you, Jim.
And one of the things that impresses me most about Mark, not only as a football player, as a parent, and as a successful businessman, but his dedication and how he's giving back to the town of Winthrop. And this past year, I've spent a lot of time watching some of the youth football games, more than I usually do. And let's talk, Mark, about the future of Winthrop youth football. You played in the Winthrop youth football program, and now you're a coach, and what it means to be a coach in Winthrop youth football, and how much it means to the players in the town.
Yeah, for sure. I think that, you know, when I look back at playing sports in Winthrop and being a young kid playing sports in Winthrop, I always had great coaches. And from the youth level, you know.
Let's talk. Who were some of your coaches?
Jack Trainer was a big youth coach for me. Dennis Murray was a great youth coach. I only moved to Winthrop in the 6th grade, so I missed some of the earlier years. But then the Warren McPhails, Jack McDonald.
McDonald
was you couldn't ask for a better basketball coach to teach you fundamentals as a freshman. And you know, that was in my youth years playing sports in town. And then when I got into high school, the football staff had great coaches at every level. My freshman football coaches were Mike DeFelice and Jim Gillis.
Wow.
So, I mean, when you think about that type of coaching talent in a freshman football program, and also Mike Krayenbanger was the third coach. So, you know, I think that a Winthrop kid has always had the benefit of great coaches to help differentiate in what's otherwise a smaller town sometimes when it comes down to the numbers. So it was always, and it is now, to me, my way of kind of showing the appreciation for all the great coaching that I had to try and you know, coach some of the younger kids now.
What, in addition to how they coached you, what most did you learn from them?
I think that outside of the X's and O's of the sport, it was, you know, work ethic. It was always winning with class. Winthrop was never a town that was loud. The other towns, we always joke, would win the pregame. You know, they'd be the big shouts and the boisterous. And Winthrop kind of always just kept our mouth shut. And then once the game started, things would change pretty quickly. So I think that the work ethic and just the character of being a Winthrop athlete is something that I feel like I learned from those coaches.
Now let's talk about your high school career and the games that you won and you lost, and who were some of your biggest competitors?
In high school.
Shall we go back to Blox's Field?
Oh, Peter Bush. Peter Bush was was a big competitor for us. In the Northeastern Conference that year, I think had 3 Division I athletes. One for Swampscott was Peter Bush, who went to UNH.
Wow.
Lynn Classical was Keon Coleman, who went to UMaine.
Wow.
And Saugus was L.J. McCandless, who went to Northeastern and eventually
All 3
became the all-time leading rusher at Northeastern.
Incredible.
And we went.
You beat all 3 of those
We
teams?
went 3-0 against those teams, and you know, we didn't have any Division I players, but we did okay.
Then you had some crazy guy in the press box who was yelling when
Yes.
you were beating Swampscott.
Yep. Peter Bush was the apple of all of the eye for all the sports
his
writers.
dad was coaching,
His
too.
dad was the coach,
Right.
and and Swampscott had a lot of success. They were a Super Bowl team.
In 95, 96.
Yes,
Was
it
he
was I think Peter Woodfork
Yeah.
was a big player
great
on that
player,
team.
and he went to Harvard.
Yeah, he now I think he's the general manager of the Diamondbacks or the Rangers. He was with the
Incredible
Red Sox
story, yeah.
with Theo Epstein.
Yeah, great athlete.
Yep. So
Great.
Swampscott had been very successable, and we intercepted Peter Bush 4 times in the first half. Two by Joey Murray, 1 by Michael Palmer, and I had 1.
That was
Fortunately.
a great football game.
Yep.
Now, did you lose the conference to them?
No, we
Gloucester.
We lost to Gloucester 6-0.
Unbelievable. It was a rainy day.
It was a rainy day.
They had Vito Ferrara.
They had Vito Ferrara was a big boy. I think he might. I don't think he went to BC, but I think he might have had a cup of coffee at BC or was talking to them. But Vito
guys-
Ferrara was a real big
You
kid.
guys should have won that game.
Yeah.
And when you look back, they were the Giants, and it was a tough game to lose. It was played at home too.
Yeah, we went 9-2 that year, and we beat 2 Super Bowl teams. Hull went to the Super Bowl. We beat Hull.
I remember that game.
Yeah, and Joey Murray had a big rushing touchdown
Yeah.
to win the game in the fourth quarter, and then we shut out Swampscott that year. And we had 3
was a
shutouts.
great-
We shut out Swampscott, we shut out Revere, and we shut out Salem.
And you told me a great statistic, which I have in my column, which you'll read tomorrow, is repeat that one about Revere.
So my sophomore year, we were losing at halftime. We had great seniors that year. The tri-captains were Keith Gorman, Dennis Murray, and Chris Butler.
Unbelievable.
And those guys were tough,
Yeah.
great football players.
Yeah.
And so we were down at halftime.
That was 94 team.
The '94 team.
Yeah.
There was a skirmish on the sidelines. There was a fight on the sidelines that year, in '94. Michael Palmer probably started the fight, but then Rob Noonan
Yeah.
and Rob Doherty got thrown out of the game. They
Oh,
got ejected from the game.
Rob Noonan should be here
yeah,
tonight to tell that
yeah,
story.
to talk about the time he got thrown out.
Who are you
versus
playing?
Revere.
Revere.
This is at Revere, 1994. So
Wow,
we're
I
down at
remember that.
halftime.
Yeah.
We come out, we shut out Revere in the second half.
Wow.
My junior year, we shut out Revere. Paul Ferrara had the greatest hit I've ever seen against Mark Silvestri
Yeah.
in the open field, caused the fumble. Beautiful hit.
Yeah.
My senior year, we shut out Revere.
Incredible.
And Mark Silvestri went into that game needing 1 score to be the all-time leading scorer for Revere High School.
You're kidding.
We shut him out.
Great.
First and goal, they gave it to him 4 times. We stopped him every time.
Unbelievable.
Greg Dankner, the night before, had promised Coach Facillo.
The Killer D's. I saw him today.
Yes, Greg Dankner.
I saw him today.
Yeah, Dankner.
Doherty, Danker, and D'Ambrosio.
Yep.
Who gave him that name?
That was you. That was you. Yeah, we
Great linebacker.
we loved that name.
Yeah.
And so we shut out Revere my senior year.
Tremendous.
Joey Murray, Mike Ferrara, Ronaldo Agostinelli, and Bubba Pisano were the captains the following year.
Tough little player, Bubba.
They shut out Revere.
Wow.
So Winthrop did
I
not.
have that in my column,
yeah,
excuse me.
Winthrop did not give a point to Revere.
It's unbelievable.
From halftime of 1994 to 1998.
Amazing statistic.
Yep.
Okay. Let's talk about your college career and what it was like. I went up to see you play, but more importantly, you played with Joey the Jet Murray, and let's talk about 2 things that give me a lot of memories and pleasure. Number one, to be chairman of the Hall of Fame and to induct you, one of my favorite players, and then just this past month to induct Joey the Jet Murray. So let's talk about getting into the Hall of Fame.
I think that was. I know that was an amazing honor, and I would.
Then you had the pleasure of putting your teammate in.
Yeah, that was Joey. I have a very special relationship with Joey.
Right.
Sometimes the high school kids you play high school with are the kids you grow up with.
Positively.
And then the kids that you play college football with are the people that you live with year round, 9
Yeah.
months a year.
Yeah.
So I was able to have that relationship with Joe at both.
Yeah.
And he was a fantastic football player.
Yeah.
And was a great college player as well. We had 3 Winthrop starters on that team my senior year.
Incredible.
That was the only Colby football team that's ever won the conference championship.
Incredible.
So I think that for Winthrop to be represented on that was pretty special.
Absolutely incredible. And it was great for you to present Joey the Jet Murray.
Yep. Yeah. What I think one of the special things about Joey, and you talk about tradition, I think that you talked about it that night a lot, was that his family,
Three captains.
three captains, Dennis Murray, Joey Murray, Matthew Murray. The father was a Winthrop football player. They had in the locker room a plaque, Band of Brothers, and it was the three brothers that were all captains. And Matthew was the captain of a conference championship team.
Super
Dennis
Bowl.
played in 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Super 13-0, 2006.
Wow.
Dennis played in 2 Super Bowls, and Joey went 9-2 my senior year, and I think they went maybe 7-4 his senior year.
That's what makes this town so great.
Yeah, for sure.
Family tradition that you continue. So let's just go on to one other thing, is the progress of Winthrop Youth Football. Now, you're the vice president?
Yeah, Peter Caggiano is the president. I believe he's been the president for close to 10, 15 years and does an amazing job, organizing everything. And he's traditionally coached the 8th graders, the A team. And for us with Winthrop Youth Football, what we've really looked to do the last couple of years is try and just be a feeder program for the high school. We had good communication with Coach Driscoll. We have great communication with Coach Cadigan. So what is the high school running? What's their terminology? What are some of their basic assignments, so that we're delivering up teams that are gonna classes that are gonna help the high school compete. I heard you mention earlier tonight that sophomore class. And that sophomore class was delivered to the high school by Chris Ferrara, who probably has done as good a job coaching youth sports as anyone in Winthrop, other than maybe Butch Martucci, who's phenomenal with what he does with youth sports. But Chris took a team to back-to-back Super Bowls 2 years ago and 3 years ago for Winthrop Youth Football that traditionally we haven't been as competitive. And now that you're seeing that team that he coached with his son Christopher, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade for 6 years, is now a very significant part of the high school team. And the goal is to continue to pass classes up to the Viking program.
You bring up a very, very good point, because Coach Driscoll told me approximately 2 years ago, he said, Voice, you have to go see this 8th grade. They were in the 8th grade. No, they were in the 8th grade.
Yeah.
So I went up to Newburyport, and one of my favorite cities in the whole North Shore, and I came back and I told Coach Driscoll, I said, these kids are phenomenal. So here they are now. Now you're helping them, and as good a sophomore class as I've ever seen.
Yep.
And there's been some great ones.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great class, and I think that if you look at the Winthrop Youth Football program now, on the 8th grade level, you had Caggiano, Mike DeFelice, Kevin Adamson, Sean Mortimer. My team, you had myself, Derek Brugman, Greg Cassidy, Rob Harris. The 5th and 6th grade, you got Rob Noonan, Bill Harris, Rudy Howard, Bill Harris's son. And then in the 3rd and the 4th grade, you got Mike Ferrara, Chris Previty, Derek Broden. Mostly former Winthrop football players that either played for Mike DeFelice or for Tony Facillo. And you can't get 2 better coaches to learn from, so we kind of all stem somewhere from the DeFelice-Facillo tree.
So, Coach D'Ambrosio, the future of Winthrop Youth Football and Winthrop Viking football looks absolutely potentially great.
Yeah. For sure, the field is beautiful. It's a facility that we're proud to have people at, and we do flag football in the spring. So Eric Mack runs that through Winthrop Parks and Recreation with Sean Driscoll. We have 120 kids playing flag football. Starts with kindergarten up to 8th grade, and then we do our best to recruit some kids to go from flag football to tackle football and everything like that. And we've been very fortunate that kids have come through the seasons all healthy and
But they're developing their love for football at a very young age. So talk about that program. How old are the kids that are playing in that?
Flag.
Yeah.
It starts in kindergarten.
Wow.
And goes all the way up to 8th grade.
Yeah.
And then youth football starts in third grade. So we try to have the football element, the love of the game, and all that stuff. But for the way that I look at it, it's very much social. Be around your friends, play with the kids that are down the street and everything like that, and have that camaraderie that I think that you can really only get in the game of football.
So now you're coaching your son. How does that feel?
That's fantastic to coach. Yeah, my boys has been a pleasure. I can only do it for football because other sports I don't really know as much, but to coach them in football is fantastic.
And how old is he?
Michael is in the 4th grade, and Jackson's in the 7th grade. And Michael was a running back and linebacker for the D team, which is anywhere from 2nd to 4th graders.
Okay, now your son that I was with last night is how old?
He's gonna
That's Jackson?
That's Michael. And,
Right.
Michael and Jack, they were both there.
Yeah.
So Jackson's going to be 13, and Michael's going to be 10 in a week or two. Both of their birthdays are December 6th and December 9th.
Unbelievable. We happened to be with one of the New England Patriots and Sean Stellato. We had a great time last night, and I was so impressed. Coach D'Ambrosio brought, was it 15 of them?
Yep.
Absolutely incredible. So that's what it's all about. And I just had the 3 Winthrop football captains. You saw them. What are your memories of Thanksgiving?
Well, if you really want to know, in 1994 there was a fight, and in 1996 there was a fight, and in 1998 there was a fight at Revere. Do you remember that the 3 years in a row?
But
94 was on the field.
Tell me about 1998. I can't remember that.
1998 was outside.
A big fight.
In Walgreens, in the parking lot.
Yeah, oh my God.
And 96 was in the stands, but
We're not going to have a fight on Thanksgiving.
no, I think the cops have finally figured out that there seems to be there's no fights in Winthrop.
Yeah.
There had been 3 fights in Revere in a row.
I remember that. I'm glad you brought that up. That was 1998.
94, 96, 98.
That's 20 years ago.
Yeah, but mostly, I know that we have a great tradition at Winthrop, that if you beat Revere, you get a star. And my memories are to have graduated with 4 stars, and that we went 4-0 against Revere.
Unbelievable.
As most senior classes in the last 20, what's the stat?
41 out of 46.
41 out of 46.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of Winthrop football
amazing.
players that
It's
have
amazing.
graduated with 4 stars, and especially to have not given up a point the last 10 quarters playing them was pretty special.
I wrote about a Coach D'Ambrosio. You can read it in Thursday's transcript. So just tell me, not only have you been successful playing football, talk about your professional life now. Tell me about your business.
I was coaching I coached college football for 4 years after I graduated, and I took an inside sales position in between the seasons because you don't make much money as a coach. I was working for $5,000 a year in graduate classes and stuff like that, and I got into a job setting up businesses with the ability to process credit cards, and I was the 4th employee there, and we grew that company to about 100 to 110 employees, and I was in charge of that facility, and we had. You'll appreciate this. We probably had 10 to 12 Winthrop kids working there. Gino DeAngelis, Andrew Brugman, Connor Brugman, Jimmy Barker.
So now the company's
Mark
yours.
Shannon.
Now it's your company.
I'm no longer there. I just went to a different company
great.
as of a year ago.
Great.
We have 10 people in an office, and we're kind of doing the same thing. We got Andrew Brugman. We have Connor Brugman. So
You're doing the same.
business services, inside sales.
Great.
That type of stuff. So. I've been very fortunate to be put into good opportunities to work hard and do what we can do.
Phenomenal.
And it's good.
All right, we're going to wrap it up, and it's just a fitting way as we approach Thanksgiving, which is 2 days away, and to hear from one of my favorite football players and one of the most successful players in a program that has produced nothing but great athletes and great residents, and I will continue to cover the Winthrop youth football, and it's exciting to see the growth of it and here's one of the reasons, and I want to congratulate you. So to everybody, with Thanksgiving just 2 days away, and it's my favorite holiday, it's just great to see all the ex-athletes and to have the families together, and Mark has just taught us all about what it means to be a Viking football player, giving back, and this is a prime example of a great Winthrop football player who's succeeded in life, and now he's giving back to this community. So myself and Mark want to wish all you Viking fans a very happy Thanksgiving. Look forward to seeing you. Hopefully it's going to be a great day, and we are going to point to a Winthrop victory. Let the games begin.